welcome. Today we're going to talk about the snorkel. Why did I put a snorkel on the R50 Pathfinder, and why this one in particular? Well, it all really started out because I was rubbing my front tire. Not this tire. This is a 35-inch tire. It was my 33-inch tire. Before I had my subframe drop, it was rubbing right up in this area. So when I added a bumper, that got the bumper out of the way, but there's still this intake thing. I know you've seen it. It's like an intake duct that comes down right here. Has a bunch of fingers that hang down really low. And even though the bumper was out of the way, that was still in the way when it would turn in and I'd be on a bump or something like that. That tire would come up and touch. So that was definitely a problem. Also, the intake for this is right, the stock intake is right underneath this plastic cover there. And I was worried about dust and water splashing up in there, things like that on the trail. So I kind of figured I'd take care of two things at once. We'll get the intake with the snorkel up higher and get away from the water, get away from the dust, and also take care of that bump at the same time. So that's why I did a snorkel. So why do I have a Navara snorkel, a Navara D21 snorkel on here, and not a Pathfinder snorkel? Great question. A couple of reasons why. The Pathfinder snorkel kind of looks like a leech, doesn't it? Comes forward more, kind of loops around and kind of comes up. It's very long. Looks like something sucking off your Pathfinder, honestly. I don't really care for that look because, not that there's anything wrong with it, but there's a lot of curves in that, and there's already a lot of curves on the Pathfinder. They're everywhere. I mean, that was the year, that was the model style, right? Mirrors, front face, everything. So I wanted something with a little bit more structure, a little more angles, like this one. So that's the first reason why I like the R50 Pathfinder snorkel. The second reason why is it attaches to your A-pillar. I didn't want anything on my A-pillar. I don't like that idea. If anything happens, it's going to leave, you got permanent screw holes in your A-pillar. I didn't really care for that. Third thing is that the snorkel faces forward. It's one of those big scoops. I don't really like those either. I mean, it's definitely going to suck in water no matter which way you face it. Obviously more if you're facing forward versus the side or back, but it's just kind of this big thing that's up there. I don't really care for it. There's options for that, but I chose not to. The fourth reason is it's really expensive, right? I've seen those things about $400 or more, or they're cheaper, but you're shipping from different countries and then you got to pay $100 in shipping. So whatever. So I looked for options and alternatives. I mean, everything is out there. What would fit the best and what would look the best? What is it I'm looking for? And this is the one that I liked, the Navara D21 snorkel. It fits extremely well, as you can tell. The curves are actually fits like almost like it was made for it. Even underneath here, it just comes up just far enough and then flattens out, comes all the way to the top. The air intake's right up here, which is great. There's nothing attached to the A-pillar, completely clean. Attaches down there and attaches to the roof rack up top. And it was shipped, I think, from Malaysia. It cost $171 off of eBay. So that's the reason why I bought this one. It's the nice shape. Again, the air intake is up top, facing down, and there's no visibility on the inside. I mean, you barely even see it. I didn't even notice it's even there, and it looks good. So the Navara D21 was the one for me, so that's what I installed. The installation of this was very difficult, I would say. It wasn't just a couple hours, it was a couple days, and it took a lot of work and thinking outside the box to make it happen. So what do I mean? Well, the template they give you, yeah, it didn't really fit exactly. I mean, I lined it up and lined it up, but at the end of the day, I had to make those holes bigger and bigger and bigger, which meant I need larger washers to fill those holes to make it all work. So not even the holes for the screws, there's 3 of them in here, but also the big hole for the air intake going through. It just wasn't quite right. I had to completely move it. I was able to fill it and cover it, but yeah, that wasn't easy. I had to take off the whole quarter panel, not because to drill the holes, but actually because there's not enough space between the outside and the interior wall. There's actually the structure is in there, and it wasn't wide enough to fit the cone that goes through and bends forward with a pipe going over it. So I had to use a big hammer to hammer it out. I had some photos of that to make room for that so it would fit. Then it's only the here, and the intake is up on this side. So what I had to do, I had to basically connect this to the standard intake that was on there, or get a hose or something custom. And why reinvent the wheel? Everything already fits. The hole that's in the inner box is actually an asymmetrical shape. It's different. So here we have the air box. We're going to go inside so you can see what it looks like. You can see that's the intake right there. It's not very round or symmetrical, but that's the standard intake with the Nissan. It was just crazy. So I just used what was already there. the intake on here with the fingers. I actually cut those short and then lifted up and capped them again and use RTV to make it seal together. From there, I use the rubber hose to connect the two and use RTV to connect the two together, three together. Yes, this to the hose to the air intake. Use RTV to fill in those gaps I couldn't do. You can see, this is what's coming out from the other side of the snorkel into the rubber pipe that came from the snorkel kit, and then I have a junction down to the left here into here, and it goes in the normal intake. This is the normal intake of the car. These are the fingers that come down and have been cut off. Underneath the hood, everything is standard or stock, as you can tell. Stock airbox, and the intake's actually from below, loops around, it comes back up where those fingers are, and it goes up to that tube, rubber tube, which goes up in the snorkel and then up above. So everything just looks standard inside here. Again, it connects down below. I mean, there's nothing in between here. Nothing was drilled through at all. It's underneath and around. It's a stock setup, which makes it easy, because trying to deal with all that can be difficult. Trying to put a hole through here is difficult. You got wires in the way, and then you're trying to make it all work out. Anyway, using the stock setup was the easiest solution I found. Though it was more work. So underneath here, this is my current setup. This is my 35-inch tire, submarine drop. You can see I have all my splash guards in there as normal. I like keeping those on. I like keeping dirty water out and dust out whenever possible. So this is my solution. These are just the typical splash guards that come with. If I need an extra plastic like this one, I think it's actually part of a garbage can, plastic garbage can. This is a piece of metal, but everything is kind of buttoned up nice and tight and nice and clean so that no dirt or water can get through. So that's just the bottom side. Now it comes to the top side. Whole different system here. There's only 3 holes, and they happen to be 3 screw holes underneath here. 1, 2, 3 underneath there, and they face downward. So I use a piece of metal to connect, and then use another piece of metal to connect up to the roof rack rails, which you can see here. It's a piece of metal right here coming back, and then 2 screw holes, one there and one there. It's actually in the groove of this roof rack, so it holds it from left and right, but also up and down. But then these hold it, of course, to the body. Again, not an easy task. It took some time. You can even see I got a little spacer in there just to lift it up right. Just all these little details were needed, and that just took a lot of time to figure out. So is it worth it? Is the snorkel worth all the effort and energy and time? I would say yes. It's given me no problems at all. I've had no issues with this setup at all. I think it looks good. I think it sounds good. The intake's right above your head there, so as you give it throttle with your window open, you could definitely hear it a little bit with the window closed, but definitely with the window open. It sounds pretty cool. It definitely makes the space I needed to for my 33-inch tires, which now I have 35s. Lots of space here when I turn in and I'm crunched up. It's good. So I like it. It looks good. Sounds good. Performs well. Does it give you more horsepower? I don't think so. I mean, you're sucking that air through, well, looks like the same diameter as interior, but it's definitely a longer path to pull air through. So if anything, it's probably hurting some horsepower. I've had no problems with running the engine or running up to, max RPM or anything like that. No problems at all. But I don't think it's helping at all with horsepower. If anything, making it a little bit worse, like I said. So yeah, I think it's definitely worth it. Would I recommend the snorkel? Yes, I would. But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, like I explained before. So be prepared. It's not a couple-hour project. It's a couple-day project. So a little bit easier project, I think, might be the standard one, of course, for the R50. Mainly because the intake comes up further, and it probably goes straight through. You don't have to deal with what I had to go through to try to make this one work. You can just, there's more space up here. It's gonna go right through both walls, right into the air box. You're done. This one being back further, I couldn't go right through because it wasn't straight through, and it just made it more difficult. So probably the normal one I would do maybe next time if I had to do it again, and maybe change the intake. I don't know. It's a tough call. It's kind of a toss-up, but I would recommend this one if you got that time, energy, and effort, and the ability to do some custom work, especially that bracket up there, and especially that work down there. So there you have it. My D21 Navara snorkel. It's great. I like it. And let me know what you think. Leave a question or comment down below. I'll get back to you. And thanks for watching.